I have heard it said that having a child die is every parent's worst nightmare. And in my experience, this is true. On September 14th, October 1st, and on October 25th of this year, I've had the unfortunate opportunity to hold the families of 3 beautiful children in my arms as they have experienced this nightmare as their new reality. So today, I would like to dedicate this talk to the loved ones of Kimberly Schmidt, James Meyer, and Cassidy Gosling. A little bit about my goals when I submitted this proposal to speak to you today. What was I thinking? I was born a self-reflective introvert. Seriously. So, true confessions. I don't have the qualities of a public speaker at all. I woke up this morning, my heart's it's like 7 o'clock in the morning. Oh well, I'm here. I submitted the proposal. Why, you might ask, am I here? I believe that we all have a story to tell. I have a story to tell. In the shower this morning, and what's coming out of my mouth right now hasn't been vetted through anything, don't worry, Barry. In the shower this morning, I was thinking, you'll hear me say today a few times something to the effect that my soul was singing. So I'm in the shower this morning, and I'm doing my physical self-care before I come. Today I'm sharing with you not only my story, I'm sharing with you my spiritual self-care. Does that make it any easier? I don't think so. But the other thing I want to share with you before I start, I know I've been up here for a long time and I haven't even started. The other reason for putting forward my story was because when you suffer a profound loss, like the death of your child, you're shaken to your very core. And you lose so many other things that you didn't expect to lose. For me, one of the things that I lost was my sense of self-confidence. And man, was I ripped off about that. I had worked for 51 years to develop that sense of self-confidence. Ripped out in a moment. So one measure of success for my teachers' friends, I promise I did not make a rubric for this. One measure of success of self-confidence would be to get up in front of a bunch of people, some who I know, some who I don't, and tell my story. Live, love, laugh. This was our family motto. Not that it has changed all that much, but it is the way we lived our lives, or at least we strive to. Until the early morning hours of November 15th, 2013, when the police officer came to the door to tell us that our son had been killed in a car accident. Before, I used to say, I've lived a charmed life. I really believed I'd lived this charmed life. I hadn't suffered the adversity that the people that I worked with and played with had. I mean, My parents are here today, alive and well, together. I'm married to my best friend. I had 3 adult children that all married in 3 summers. That was eventful. I have 8 grandchildren. I have a successful career, wide circle of friends. So a successful family life, a successful work life, and a successful social life. Live, love, laugh was pretty easy to follow. It wasn't without its challenges, but then whose life is? This is a picture that my son took on his phone in an oil field down by Estevan while he was working. And he posted it on his Facebook page, September 5th, 2013, with the caption, "Drop of oil that looks like a smiley face. Find something good, even in the shitty situations." This, for us, has become, in my good friend Carmen's words, an icon of hope. Let me explain to you why. You see, up until November 15th, our biggest challenge as a family had been navigating a period of time where Ken had suffered with severe anxiety and depression, to the point where it affected his life and everyone who loved him. As a result of his internal pain, he turned to alcohol to, in his words, numb the pain and quiet the inner dialogue which plagued him. Between April 2011 and April 2013, he was seen in hospital for suicidal thinking and behavior. He was hospitalized 3 or 4 times on the mental health ward. Between April 2011 and 2013, he also totaled off his truck in a single vehicle rollover. He had lost his job, and all of his relationships were turbulent at best, including the one with his wife. So why is this an icon of hope? This picture, and more importantly, the caption that accompanied it, represents to me that he was, in fact, moving away from the suicidal thinking. He had moved away from the suicidal behavior. He did have the thinking right up until the week that he died. I know this because "Are you feeling suicidal?" became as natural to me as "Do you need me to make you a sandwich?" So, like I was saying, I lived this charmed life. No joke. Daily, I aspired to live life to the fullest, love deeply, and laugh as often as possible. During this time, I would add learn. I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn exactly what this life challenge was supposed to teach me. I wanted to learn how to reverse the dis-ease within my son. I wanted to fix everything. And I was vigilant in this pursuit. This is a picture that was taken on the night before everything changed. You see, the fall of 2013, I'd been offered what I've tagged my dream job. For 1 year, I was offered the opportunity to be the administrator in the alternate school here in Moose Jaw. Wow. I'd also actualized a hobby, and for my birthday in October of 2013, I received a rock polisher. So on the night of November 14th, 2013, my son was readying himself for a night out with friends. One of the young men had a birthday. They were going to Boston Pizza. He asked me to save some of the rice that we were eating for supper because it was good. I promised only to swear once. He joked with his dad and I. He teased his sister over the phone. At the same time, my first batch of rocks was ready for their final process. So I laid the rocks out on the kitchen counter, as I do, and I was picking up each rock and I was examining them for their latest changes in the tumbling process. I was admiring the beauty within that was being revealed. Ken walked past the kitchen counter. He said to me, "Mom, what are you going to do with all these rocks?" I said, "Well, I'm going to give them to people. I am going to give them to people and they will treasure them. They're going to see how tumbling the process is going to make dull rocks beautiful and shiny." He said, "Mom, no one wants your rocks." At the same time, he reached for one, and he picked it up. And he said, "This one is kind of cool, though." I thought I had him. I said, "Take it. Take it with you. Carry it in your pocket tonight. It will ground you." He said, "Mom, I understand what you're doing with these rocks, but the last time I checked, gravity held me to the ground." He tossed the rock back. He went out without the rock, and he never came home. So these are the rocks that I started to carry the next morning. That little purple rock up at the top, that's lepidolite. I've since learned lepidolite it's also called the addict's rock, but it's a good rock to carry when you're having any kind of change. And so I often gift lepidolite to my students as they transition back to other schools or as they're transitioning to work. So lepidolite, purple rock, shiny, sparkly, remember that. I don't know why. The other three rocks in the center there, those are my Kenny rocks. Because the next morning, the rocks were finished, and we all took rocks that spoke to us, and those are the three rocks that spoke to me that morning. His son picked up the exact same rock that his dad had picked up. And then there's an angel wing rock there, and I found that in a store at Mortlach. I don't know if it's still open or not, but it's a fabulous store. And it just reminds me that angels are all around us. And then there's my footprints rock. And that rock my sister gave to me probably the day Ken died, maybe the day after. And I've carried that rock with me most days. And later I had that, "It was then that I carried you" tattooed to my foot. After I started to digest what the officer had said, I felt my heart shatter. And my soul cracked open. If there had been any question up until this point that what really holds us to the ground is our soul, there was no further. I wondered out loud, how am I going to do this? When my soul opened up, it sang to me, "You must extend grace and love. It's the only way." From that point until today, I have been on this journey to do just that, aspiring to live and love graciously. Now that phrase is way easier to tweet or type than it is to do. Trust me. So my first job was to define grace. So I went to my friend Googled it, grace. Love and mercy, benevolence, spontaneously shown to us, generous, free, totally unexpected, unearned, and undeserved. This whole grace thing meant that I had to give my love to people who needed it, regardless of circumstance, whether they deserved it or not. Well, like polishing rocks, it's been a process. I'd like to share with you today, here's the meat of this. I'm going to have to run a long time before I get to the meat, I'd like to share with you the two big rocks that I use in my spiritual self-care. Gratitude and forgiveness. I find that when I use these practices intentionally and consistently, they have empowered me to live and love more graciously. My first discovery, the rock of gratitude. So like I told you, I had this dream job, and after the funeral and all of the turmoil and chaos, I was so excited to go back. I remember the day like it was yesterday. Can't tell you what day it was, but I remember it so vividly. Somewhere in the first part of December, I'm back, I'm in my office, I'm safe, I'm warm, I'm alone, so content. For about 25 minutes, then it hit me. You have to go out of this warm, safe space and over into that classroom and lead daily discussion, my first teaching assignment of the day. Okay, so how exactly am I going to do that? In my office, there is a floor lamp. The floor lamp has a shelf. On the shelf sat this very rock. This rock called to me and said, use my strength. Use my strength to carry you. So I picked up the rock and I carried it into the community room. I went to the table with this rock and a full mug of pumpkin spice tea. And I sat with my students and my staff who were eagerly awaiting my return. I lifted the rock up and I said, from this day forward, we will start daily discussion with a sharing of gratitude. This rock is now known as the Gratitude Rock. I shared my gratitude, no idea what I said, but what I did say to them is when bad things happen, when really, really bad things happen, we have to be intentional to reach for what is positive and what is good. And so from that day forward, we've shared gratitude every day. At the end of that school year, my temporary dream job became my permanent one, and I'm still there. That gratitude rock is missing, and I'm okay with that, because I'm certain that it went with someone that needed it more than we did. So we've had to replace our gratitude rock, but that is the original, and a student took the picture. this is a picture of the base of a tree that my husband crafted, and it sits in one of our sacred spaces. We have many that honor our son's memory. The rocks at the base of the tree are those things, those positive things that we can reach for. The second rock I want to talk to you about is the rock of forgiveness. When you are plunged into the profound griefs, such as the loss of your child, you really ride the emotion wave. You have to hold on to find those good rocks. But with those good rocks come the negative emotions. You feel raw, hurt, broken. You feel desperately devastated, alone, empty, sad, guilty, and even angry. These negative emotions can virtually suck the energy right from you. Sadly, there's no way to avoid these emotions. You have to learn to live with those negative emotions. You have to learn to cope. One way that I've found to cope is to practice forgiveness. Now, I define forgiveness as mindfully and intentionally letting go of the negative energy that those negative emotions produce. You see, for me, forgiveness isn't for the other person. It's for me. When I perceive something as hurtful, I mindfully and intentionally change my thinking about that event. For me, forgiveness has been a private practice, not like my gratitude, which I've made very public. For some, journaling works. For some, visualization. For me, it really is a practice within. I use reflective thought and coaching to let the negative energy pass through me and leave me. It's really a change in the way I think about the whole situation. Asking myself purposeful questions that guide me. Guide that negative energy right on through. It requires me to plant and replant my belief that people are good and intend no harm. It requires me to remind myself that my belief about behavior, mine and other people's, is simply a reflection of where each of us is at in our personal and interpersonal journeys. So it sounds like this. It's okay to not be okay for now. And there is light. And I am moving. And let that feeling settle in deep. Feel it. And then let it go. Let it move through. Don't hold it. Let it go. So these are the rocks beside the bed. Rocks that have been gifted to me, both before Ken died and after. Everything is defined in before and after now. Rocks that call to me, or called to me to get them to beside the bed. Rocks that comfort me, rocks that ground me, rocks that inspire me, rocks that bring me peace, and rocks that remind me of hope. So the rocks I have to offer you are the rock of gratitude and the rock of forgiveness. I try to carry them daily to give me the strength to put one foot in front of the other in the pursuit of living and loving graciously, to honor the song in my soul. Thank you.